Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me is John Phillips, co-founder of PredictIt, the stock market for politics. And for this weekly segment, we're going to take a look at the cattle call going on in Texas. And John, it's never a dull moment with our segments together. What is the cattle call for Texas all about?
Well, some people call it a beauty contest. Others call it a cattle call. I'm sure there's some other names that we can't talk about on the show here, but it's an opportunity for the big fat cat Republican donors. Democrats do the same thing, to be able to take a look and see firsthand how the prospective presidential nominees on the Republican side shape up before they commit their money. Now, this happens. This is not the only time it's going to happen, but the Texas GOP is really the first one in which Karl Rove has some involvement in this, and it's noticeable for his absence will be Donald Trump. However, there are plenty of other Republican candidates, I think it's 13 in all, who will be attending and showing a little leg at the beauty contest or a little huff at the cattle call. So Republican nomination, DeSantis, here's what's interesting. DeSantis, the governor of Florida, is tied almost dead even with former President Trump. They're at 24 and 23% odds of getting the Republican presidential nomination. And that's been holding steady. Now, the others in the mix of governors and senators, they're all in the single digits. It doesn't take a lot of change in the field for numbers to shift. And so I would say that this is very early, but it does have some bearing. The odds are what the predicted traders think is going to happen.
John, it's so interesting. You and I have spoken about this a number of times over the past several weeks, but Trump and DeSantis, I think, are going to be really interesting to watch because they were such powerful allies for each other. And it's going to have to swing one way or the other, whether Trump, puts his hat back in the ring or, Trump's very influential. And, if he decides to put his application in later in the process, the DeSantis camp has to be worried about that.
Well, yes, in some cases, Trump is freezing the field, but that's not stopping predicted traders from picking up, if you see DeSantis at 24% odds and Trump at 23, I mean, you may love DeSantis without being committed politically to any of them. You may like that trade. You buy DeSantis at 24, you love him at 24, and you hate him at 50. So you can ride it up and then hopefully get out at the right time and wait till the stock goes back down again, if in fact that's what's going to happen. It's interesting also, DeSantis is a clear favorite for re-election against Val Demings in Florida. He's up 70 percentage points over Demings in terms of the odds, 70% odds that DeSantis is going to win. Let's look at the Democratic nomination for just a minute, because that's interesting also. We talked about it last week, Jill, as you remember. It's really a race between Biden and Harris, and Biden is really pulled even with Harris. They're both at 38% odds of getting the Democratic nomination. It's remarkable if you think about it, because under normal circumstances, the vice president of the incumbent party would be way below that. Think Mike Pence or Joe Biden when Obama was president. So you got 38% odds even there. But the predicted traders think that the Democrats are going to prevail in 2024. They have Democrats prevailing by 54% odds, Republicans by about 47% odds. And then there's one last one I wanted to mention to you. The statehood, the odds of statehood. This thing has gone up a little bit, but it's really in the gutter. This is a great place for some bottom fishing if you think either Puerto Rico or DC are going to, the prospects of their becoming a state are going to go up. Remember, you don't have to have them become a state. Just have those odds increase. If you bought low, you can sell high. Senator Manchin from West Virginia gave a firm no to statehood, and the odds of statehood for Puerto Rico is just 2 cents, and the odds of statehood for DC is just 5 cents. So that's an opportunity to make some money if you think the odds are going to increase.
We'd have to rewrite the children's song, 50 Nifty United States, if that were to come
Would
to
you sing it
pass.
for us? Would you sing it for us?
No. I'm good doing research in financial media, but singing is not one of my qualities. We'll pass it off to
maybe next week with my sound effects.
Yes, there you go. All right, John. Thank you as always for joining us on Trade Talks, and thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thank you, Jill.